Yeah. My name is Hadi Fariborzi, and I am very excited to show you the features that we have on our platform, HubMeta. So what HubMeta is it's a online cloud-based platform to help researchers do meta-analysis. It's free, and it is a combination of tools that will help you do almost all the parts that you need to do in a meta-analysis in one platform. So if I this is a quick go-through video. It's not going to be very detailed. We don't want to show off all the details of all the features that we have on HubMeta. We hope that just by watching this short video, you'll be able to find your way around the system and get started with your projects. If you have any questions, you could always email us through the website and ask your questions. We would be more than happy to help you with that. And if there is any specific features that you think would be nice to add on HubMeta, we would be also happy to consider that. So please get in touch with us if you have any questions. So without further ado, let's get to it and see what HubMeta is able to do for you. So first things first is we'll type in hubmeta.com, and it will bring you to our landing page right here. So this shows you quickly what the basic steps that you could do on HubMeta, and that's really the basic steps in any meta-analysis project. So it's a way for you to manage and organize your references. So you upload your files here and find duplicates and organize them. Then it allows you to select the papers that you want. You look at their titles and abstracts, and then you could also look at their full text to select the papers that you want to include in your study, in your meta-analysis. Then it helps you do article coding, extract data from your papers, and then finally do some analysis on them. And you could do all of those on HubMeta. So let's take a look at what we need to do here. You would click on new version. This is just like any other login page. If you don't have a username, you would sign up or just simply use your Google account to log in to HubMeta. And so here in the first page is, of course, I will see a list of my projects that I'm working on. And the first time you log in, you don't have anything, so you obviously would create a new project. Let me create one right now. Let's call it a HubMeta demo project. And then you could add, this is a meta-analysis of innovation. And here you could upload a file, which is basically a way for you to be able to copy your projects or start where you left off on another project or in another system. You could upload a CSV in a specific format that is readable by HubMeta, or you could upload the JSON files which is created by HubMeta when you export an old project. And then so basically you could create a copy of the project and then continue working on it here. So I want to create a fresh project, so let me just create that. So this is my new project. So when I go into the project, what I see is this page. So this is a quick look of the basic things that I have. I can of course go to project settings here and upload a photo to make it look nice, for a photo for a thumbnail photo for the project. This is your Prisma chart, the step by step for you to filter and select the articles you want. This is how much progress you and your other collaborators have had on this project so far. This is a quick view of your moderator variables, and this is really looking at your set of variables that you have in your projects. This is really your workspace. Okay, so the first step in any meta-analysis is, of course, importing your articles into the system. And then if you look at this this flow on the left pane, you would see that basically the main steps that you could do using HubMeta. So you could import your articles, then go take them through title and abstract screening, and then look at their full and do full text screening. And here is data entry, where you extract data from their PDFs, and then finally is the analysis, that you would actually do the meta-analytic calculations that you want, and then you would report it in your paper. So really you could do all the main steps of the meta-analysis here on HubMeta. So let's take a look at them one by one. So the first step is that we need to import articles. So you always start by doing your search. So in this case, as an example, I've done a sample search on Web of Science, which the terms are innovation, performance, and then I would limit it to new ventures or SMEs or small to medium enterprises. And so it's giving me 1400. It's not complete by any means. It's just a sample to show you how HubMeta works. And the thing with HubMeta is it's not complete at all. This is not an exhaustive search for now. This is just a sample, just to show you how HubMeta works. So so you could of course play with it and do your own search. So the next step is we need to export these references into HubMeta. So all of these web databases, all of these online databases give you an opportunity to somehow export all of the references that you have found in your search. Usually they provide a way so that you could download them into a reference management software such as EndNote, and we will use that to import them into HubMeta. So one nice way would be to take all the files from all these different databases into EndNote and then export them as an RAS file for HubMeta. If you have EndNote on your computer, you could export it into EndNote Desktop from Web of Science, or if you don't have it, you could use EndNote Online, which is free, and you could export your resources, your search results there. So just as an example, so you would select from records. Each time you can only select 500 to be exported, but you would do that, and then these are the things that would be exported, and if you click on export, it will go to your EndNote Online. This is my EndNote Online, and you could see that I have my 1400 something papers right here. And then from here, from EndNote Online or from your EndNote on your desktop, you could really go and export your references into a file. In this case, I will use an RIS format, the RIS export, and I click on save, and so it starts creating my file. It's a very similar process in different search databases. This is ABI ProQuest. This is my search terms. It's giving me this number of results, and then you could watch all sorts of videos which take you through how you could export from each of these systems to EndNote. You could just follow those steps, and then most of the time they will give you either a .ris file or a .bib, or which is a bibtext format. Then you could take it, export it, and take it to HubMeta. So in this case now, I already have my files here. So if I just move myself up here, um, in this page in import articles, you have the option to add a new file. So you would first select your source, which, it was Web of Knowledge here. So this is just some extra information for you. It's important to add date of search, because when you want to report it in the end, it's always great to have this. Um, and here you could upload the .ris or .bib file that you have. As a further option, you could also upload the PDFs. That's for when you want to do full text screening. So if you have all of this in EndNote and you have already found all of the PDFs, you could go and create a zip file of all that includes all those PDFs and import them at the same time as the .ris file. This would allow HubMeta to read them all at the same time. Then you would be able to look at the PDFs when you're working on HubMeta. In this case, I just want to upload two files. So here is the .ris file. Something to note is that this is the one that I just downloaded. This one I downloaded before. Usually when you download from these websites, the extension of the file might be a bit different. So here it's .txt. You would just quickly change them to .ris so that it's recognizable by HubMeta. So you open the file and add it here. What happens is HubMeta uploads them and starts reading the files into the system. So it goes through 101 to read those 1400. So while it's doing that, I can add my second file, which I downloaded from ProQuest. So I will just give it another name, which can help me remember it, which search I did. So this is the ProQuest file, which I have downloaded. If I ask system to download that, it will create it for me. So let's give it a few seconds to finish its job. So the next step for us is when we have all the files is because we do the search on different databases, you might end up having a lot of duplicates. So obviously the first step is to do deduplication of these files, and HubMeta can do that for you. So you could see that I have all the files that I had in my search onto uploaded them onto HubMeta. The system has imported them. The first step is the next step is to do deduplication. So I run deduplication, and the system uses so the system uses an algorithm to find duplicates here and remove them from the search. Okay, so this is almost done, and if we come back here into our overview of the project, so we started with this number of papers, and the system has detected 230 duplicates and already removed them. Now it's still working and on deduplication. So if I come back to this stage, you will see that this system is still working. When it finishes, you could always go back and review how the deduplication is handled. So you could basically manually select if they were indeed duplicates or not. But most of the time we really trust what the system has done, and don't go and double check it. So the next step is to do title and abstract screening. So if you click on title screening, it brings you to this page. So you could see that that I have the title, authors, and journal and year the papers were published, and of course I can see the abstract, and I can expand it here. So really our job in this step is to look at this and see if we want to accept or reject these papers. So what happens is that if you click on reject, they will be removed from your project, but if you click on accept, they will go to the next step. So I will accept a few of these, then go to full text screening. What happens is that I accepted three of my papers. They have been moved down the pipeline, so they are in full text screening state. So I can now start looking at their full text. So let's get back to title screening so that I can show you some of these some of the features that we have. So here what you can do is you could add these search terms. These are really handy to help you look for some keywords that you want to look at in the abstract or in the title of the paper. This would speed up the process of looking at titles and abstracts to decide if you want to include or exclude them. On top of that, we have a set of filters which help you select, for example, papers by title, or look at a specific author in your paper. So for example, here I'm looking at one of the papers by Gary Knight. The system is showing me that, okay, I have one of those. And you want to make sure, for example, you might have like more than that. You could accept all of them all at the same time. This is how our filters work. There are different ways where you could do that. So you could click accept all or reject all, or you could just clear your filters and then go about them one by one. One thing I can mention here is that HubMeta was created for collaboration. So what you need to do to add collaborators to your project is you would go to settings, go to members, and invite different people. So they should have an account on HubMeta, login information. So let me just add one of my friends here. So if I add him here, I can give him researcher access, which is basically the same access as you as the administrator of the project have, or you could just give them reviewer access so they can't add or remove files. They will just be able to do title screening, full text screening, and data entry, and add their comments here. So let's give him a researcher access. I invite him, so he would be automatically added. So to show you how this works, I will actually go and show you one of my existing projects. So here you could see that if I go to title screening in this project, you would see that two of my collaborators have already finished their work. They have reviewed all the papers, all the 6,800 papers that I have in my projects, and have made their decisions. So you would see that I can see their comments right here, and then I can decide if I want to accept or reject that based on this. You could, of course, filter based on their different comments and accept or reject them all at the same time to save some time. So this is how collaboration works. Pretty much the same thing in full text screening. So let's get back to our projects here. So the next step in title screening is full text screening. So if you look at our Prisma chart, you would see that if you remember, I accepted 3 of my papers for now. You would see that those 3 have been moved down the pipeline, so they are in full text screening stage right now. So again, if we go back at an actual look at an actual project, you would see that it starts from here. You remove some duplicates. In title screening, you remove some of them. You reject some papers and exclude, for example, about 5,000 of these 7,000 papers. Then in full text screening, you would have to look at this 1200, and then once you finish full text screening, you would have let's say 300 to do data entry and data extraction for that. So that's the idea here. Okay, let's go back to our project, which is this one. So the next step is full text screening. Works pretty much the same way as title screening. The only difference is we can actually, if we go here, we can actually upload a PDF. So you can ask one of your collaborators to upload PDFs, or as I said in the start, when you upload your files, you could upload a batch of PDF files to match your project, and then here you would be able to read the actual PDF files on HubMeta. So this is to enable you to quickly look at the PDFs and make a decision if you want to include them in your project or not, based on your inclusion and exclusion criteria. So now we are, now that we have made our decisions up to this point, the next step is data entry. So here you want to, so let me just accept some of these papers so that we have something in data entry stage. So if I go back to data entry, you would see that I have these 3 papers to code, and I can extract the papers, the data from papers. If you click on them, this is where you code everything from them. So you could enter more than one sample for each paper, because some papers might have more. So this is your sample size. You could enter correlation scores, which is R score, or any other score which can be converted to a correlation, D score, F, T, or chi-square. So in this case, let's go with R scores, and this is where you enter your data. Here is a look at moderator variables. You could define all your own moderator variables, and but these are the ones that are default in the system. You could just remove them if you don't think they are relevant to your project, and add the ones that you want. And here you can create your correlation table and start entering data for that. So, and you would you could either manually enter these correlations, but most of the time we don't do that. Or HubMeta has a feature where it can read from a CSV file which has your information, or it could directly import from a PDF file. Let me show you how that works. Okay, so here I want to import a PDF of one of my papers. So I have downloaded it here. So I will upload it into the system, and this will take a few minutes for HubMeta to find the correlation table in the paper and actually extract data from it and bring it here. Let's see how that works. This is the correlation table from my PDF. I can show the PDF here for you as a reference. So this is the paper. So the system automatically found this correlation table right here, and it has cut it, put it here for your reference. This isn't anything, it's just for you to double check the numbers here. And here you see that the system has automatically downloaded all these numbers here. So this is something we hope that would. So this is something we hope would make it much easier for you to extract data from your PDFs. We are working every day to make this automatic detection better and better, but we're really proud of what it can do at the moment. So the next step is to match these variable names from the papers to the variables that you have in the project. It's a good time now to talk about the workspace of your project. So if you go to settings, down here in workspace, you could take a look at the variables that you have in your project. So in HubMeta, we have 3 levels of variables. We start with measurements, then constructs, and then group construct. So it's a 3-level hierarchy. Let me take you to one of my live projects, which actually has all of these. So if I go to the workspace, I have already defined all the constructs and measurements here. So you would see that I have 6 group constructs, I have 37 constructs. So each of these constructs might have been measured in many different ways, and I have more some measurements here. So if I click on this visualization tab, it will show me how these group constructs, and measurements are related to each other. So in this case, for example, my network capabilities group construct has these 3 constructs. So domestic network, international network, or network learning capability. And my international network construct could either be measured through network size or network ties strength. So you could define as many measurements, constructs, or variables here to manage that. And the nice thing here is that if you go to data entry and if you click on any of these, you could, so this is my correlation tables for this paper. You could assign this line from your actual PDF, from your actual paper, to any of these constructs, group constructs, or measurements. One thing that HubMeta does is that it automatically calculates group constructs and group or constructs based on what you have entered. So for example, if you have 2 or 3 constructs from the same group construct, it will calculate the composite measure down here. So you could assign these lines to constructs, measurements, or group constructs. So the idea is, after you have extracted all your data from your papers, you can now move to do your actual analysis. So here are the analyses that are available on HubMeta. So this is bivariate meta-analysis, bivariate meta-analysis table, and meta-analytic correlation table. Bivariate meta-analysis just takes 2 variables and does a meta-analysis on them. You could either use HubMeta's library. This is a library that we have published in R, and you could just download it there. Or you could use an established library in R like HubMeta. For now, we'll just go with HubMeta. And in this stage, you could filter some of your papers. So for example, you might say that, okay, in my data set, I have some papers that were produced before 2010, for example. I want to do a separate analysis for the ones published before 2010, and then another for the ones after that. So you could add some filters here and do your analysis on a filtered set, but I'm not going to do that for now. This is where you could select significance levels for your confidence intervals and credibility intervals. Here, I will just select 2 variables just to show you how our analysis works. You would see that it creates these the main calculations for meta-analysis here. So number of correlations, aggregate sample size, average sample size, and of course all sorts of mean effect size. This is your R, and which is adjusted for reliability, unadjusted for reliability, and basically all the numbers that you want to report in your paper. This shows the actual pairs. So this is these two come from these two papers. And if you want to do this analysis yourself, if you want to do this analysis manually, you could just click on show analysis code in R, and you could just copy and paste this into R and recalculate it yourself, or just use any other package you want to double check your results. So if you go back to analysis, bivariate meta-analysis table is pretty much the same thing. So these steps are the same, except this time I'm not going to just do this for two variables. I'm going to select a few more to create a table that I want to report in my actual final paper. So let me just select a few of these so you have a better idea how this works. I think this is good for now. So if we click on next, it will basically create different pairs between these variable sets that I created and create a table. So basically all the pairs between these variables, and this is like the table that you could report in your final paper. It generates all sorts of numbers that you might need. You would never need to report all of this, but we have just generated all of them for your reference. So one thing you could do is you could just export them as a CSV. I will open this in Excel. So here is how it looks. This is my CSV file that I just exported, and this is the pairs. So first line is the meta-analysis between entrepreneurial orientation and performance after entry. This is from my my analysis on HubMeta, and this is all the numbers you would need to report in your paper, and a lot more. So you could basically rename these and do whatever you want in terms of how you want it to look. So let's get back to analysis. This last one is the really exciting one. This is meta-analytic correlation table. This will give you a very large correlation table, and this is really basically the correlation table which you could use for meta-analytic structural equation modeling, MASM, and do all sorts of other analysis for that, or do meta-regression with this. So the way it works is that you choose the variables that you want to be included. I'm going to select a few of them here just to show you how fast the system works. So firm size, innovation capability. Let's also do international intensity. We could do more, but I think it's okay for now. So what this is doing is I have selected 11 variables. It is creating a meta-analytic correlation table. So each cell in this correlation table is a meta-analysis by itself. So we basically have done 55 different meta-analysis right now. So each of these numbers is a meta-analysis by itself. This is the table that enables you to do all sorts of further analysis, like as I mentioned, like SEM and everything. So you could export this into CSV. Again, it will just give you the correlation table there, or you could export it into an R file. So you could so this is basically taking this data into R. so that you could do all of the further analysis you want to do. So before we do that, let's just show you one more thing here. So if you click on any of these pairs, it will show you where they come from. This is for example, the correlation between entrepreneurial orientation and age at entry in my sample. So these are the pairs that make this meta-analysis. Again, I can just see the actual R code that is used to calculate this, and then I can just copy and paste it in my R if I want to double check how things work. So if you use this export R function, it will gives you a .r file which you could open in RStudio. This is how it looks. Here we use the library called Lavan to do structural equation modeling in R, and this is really the part that you were looking for. This is the huge correlation matrix, which is the basis of your SEM analysis, and this is the name of your variables, this is the number of observations, and everything else you need to do and just based on that you would be able to do all sorts of regression and SEM analysis that you want to do in your project. So this is basically a quick go-through of the functions that you have on HubMeta. I hope this is enough for you to be excited and get started. I hope this is enough for you. I hope this is enough to get you excited to take your meta-analysis project into HubMeta and give us some feedback of the things that you like or the things that you think could be added to HubMeta. We will always be happy to listen with an open mind and see what we can add and what we can change in the system. Thank you very much for watching this video, and have fun.